What is up, everybody? It is the Geek Phantom here, and thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. Today, as you can see as the title of this video, it is the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale that I would like to talk about. Um, Later on, I'm actually going to put together a video, and I'm going to put my overall review over Falcon and Winter Soldier, so be on the lookout for that. As well as I'm also going to be doing a review on WandaVision. Unfortunately, I've not gotten the time and gotten around to making that video, but be looking be looking out in the upcoming future for that video. Uh, so I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. I'm gonna be about as bleak as I can about a lot of things. I'm not gonna try to spend too much time on one specific topic. I definitely want to try to get the point across on a lot of things. I I found this episode to be very interesting. Um, I'm not going to say that I think it's good or I think it's bad or I think I'm disappointed in it anyway. I'm just going to flat out say I need a second chance to go back at this and to really get a good view of what I want from it. Um, I went in very optimistically, not really thinking too much was going to happen, not really expecting too much. Um, I didn't expect, some drawn out show. However, I did expect it to be a little bit longer, and I will say I have three complaints with this episode. Not with the show entirely, but with this episode alone. Out of all of the episodes so far, I will say that this is the most lackluster in certain content of developed characters, moving forward, what's the next step, where are we going, yada, yada, yada. I think that it's very hit and miss with some things. I think some characters really got the time to shine. And I think there's a couple characters, in my opinion, that were just thrown in here, thrown into the show entirely, just for the whole shoehorn effect. And then to be just kind of thrown in the background, and we'll get into that in just a second, but I found that to be very dishonest to the characters that had, you know, been being teased up to this point. And I'm not knocking Marvel for what they're doing. I'm just stating that I feel like certain characters should have gotten a little bit better time. In terms of, thank you for the one viewer. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. I will say that I'm just kind of at a loss of words with Sharon Carter at this point. I will say Sharon Carter having the little bit of screen time that she did, I felt that she was just very odd. I felt very odd atmosphere from her. I didn't get a good vibe from any time that she was on screen. I understood the purpose of her being there. I kind of called it from the very beginning, though, that she was going to be power broker, so that wasn't really anything that I was too, over the top about. Um, though her hiring Carly, though, that was a little bit of a twist that I wasn't really expecting. Um, I I don't know. I wasn't expecting her to own Carly in a sense, or the Flag Smashers in a sense. Um, Batroc, wow. I 3 episodes that he was in, and I think in total he got 15 minutes total to shine. 15 minutes isn't really a lot for a character that he, and I honestly got more screen time in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I felt that he was very lackluster in the fight against Sam. I felt like there should have been somebody more of equal strength or equal capacity to take on Sam. I felt like that fight was just very underwhelming. It was very hit and miss. He didn't even really beat him up. I mean, in reality, I think Falcon really just abandoned the fight because it wasn't going to go anywhere. So he just kind of left. Um, John Walker, I will go ahead and give this man an Emmy and a standing ovation right now. Let's just get it. It is what it is. I don't care if you hate the man. I don't care if you love the man. You can not sit here and say that this man did not try to justify his motivations and his means, especially with Carly on how she reacted about Lamar's death. Of I didn't mean to kill anybody that didn't matter, and oh, Lamar's life didn't matter. That to me struck me a little bit more personal, seeing as he visited Lamar's family. In a sense, yes, did he lie about who killed Lamar? Yes, but under all the pressure and under, the certain circumstances of him killing that person, he saw Carly as that guy. He knew that he couldn't get to Carly, so he took it out on that guy. So in his eyes, when he killed that guy, he killed Carly, or killed what killed Lamar in a sense, in his eyes. And he moved forward with that. And I think him confronting Carly, he got his redemption. I did not expect that DIY Captain America shield, makeshift Captain America shield, to even one stand up to the amount of damage that it sustained. Two, I didn't even expect it to even last that long. I thought the first kick Carly threw was over and done. And I was like, wow, okay, well that was it. But it stood a while, and I'm glad that he got his recognition of saving the people from the car, even though he, in a sense, lost. But he still tried, and that was what would mattered. I know Falcon and him are obviously not still on good terms, but I think him helping out kind of made it easier path for Falcon to kind of just be able to step away from that situation, because that wasn't the matter at hand. Zemo. Zemo was in this show for 2 hours. I would say 2 hours, and that's including the Zemo cut that is of the nightclub dance. That's what I'm gonna include. He was a very big part of the show. I loved every time that Zemo came on. However, I felt Zemo being in the show was really more for a toy dimension and more of a apparel appeal, especially the mask, the iconic mask. They literally, I feel like they told Daniel Brohl to just walk on set, grab it, look menacing, pose for about 5 seconds, take your shot. That's the money shot. That's what we're going to use to make toys and, apparel and merchandise off of. Okay, cool. It'll never be seen again. And I would say that's my biggest complaint against Zemo. Now, just his acting and just everything that he brought to the table made the chemistry between Sam and Bucky that much better. It was definitely something that I was very happy with. It definitely felt like a trio that I was not expecting, but I was very happy to have. Carly. I will say this as a good and a bad. Carly, to me, for the first 5 episodes, I did not give two shits about. I'm going to be completely honest. I did not care until the ending of the 5th episode, where really I started to see her motivations and her reasonings behind what she was doing. The Flag Smasher group, I felt that the highway scene, and I think it was the 1st or 2nd episode where they're fighting on the trucks, I felt like that was, up until this episode, was the most that we saw Carly do in terms of really not giving a shit and how she gets things done. Yes, she blew up that building that had the people in it, but there was other people involved, and I understand she was saying, like, our lives don't matter if we die because the legacy continues. But when you're not willing to get your hands dirty, but you're willing to make everybody else get their hands dirty to do your job that you're trying to enforce, to try to change and to try to get this motive across, it to me sounds like you're the leader that's a coward. And I felt like she was the coward and everybody else was more of the enforcer. And then this episode, she just stepped up for me. She really showed, like, hey, I have a purpose and I have a reasoning. I got the whole Mama Danya thing. I got the whole... Thank you for the 2 viewers. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Just a little bit of recap going over all the characters that I feel have the strongest suits and what they did the best, and kind of the lowest suits and what they really didn't do. But I will say this episode really showed Carly's emotional side on the more sympathetic reasoning. I felt that the past episodes were anger driven reasons, and this was more logical reasons. She had a purpose, she had a goal, she executed it. I don't expect to believe she even knew that Sam was about to come out with a vibranium shield and a vibranium suit and be able to kick ass and do all this. I don't think she expected that in any way, shape, or form. I think she expected Bucky and Sam to show up, just not as prepared as they were, nor Sharon. But I will say that her redemption arc in this episode was really her death, and really just that whole, what we're doing is trying to get a point across. And yes, I will say that Sam majorly enforced really that backing and the reasoning behind it, because he stood for what she believed in. He just could not fight with her how she was going about it. And I agree with Sam in that matter, because to me that's what makes a person a leader, is when you're willing to take charge, but you're willing to see the reasoning behind things instead of jumping the gun, instead of just jumping in people's faces, trying to degrade them for their actions and their choices and their motives. Because everybody thinks differently, everybody goes through things differently, everybody acts and copes with things differently. So in a world where you don't exist and certain people do, I can understand a person having some hatred and some envy against the people that have now returned to reclaim what was theirs originally, when these people got dusted before these other people's eyes. And to them, they thought they just lost everything. They'd lost the people they loved, they lost, everything. And they had to move on with that. And I think Avengers Endgame showed just a tiny bit of that. But Carly was just trying to show everybody, we need to move forward, but we don't need you superheroes to try to show us how to move forward. And her death really showed, you got to get your shit together, and you really got to start looking at the bigger picture rather than looking at your selfish ways and just your own ideology and your own beliefs. You got to look at it how it affects a whole. Which brings me into Sam. I think played a very big role in this show, obviously being more focused towards him. I will say he was the backbone I felt for the latter of the season, but the beginning I felt that Bucky carried more of the weight, especially up until the fight with John Walker and Sam and Bucky against John Walker, I should say. I would say Bucky really carried the weight of that. However, Sam clearly shows what it means to be, or clearly has what it means to be the new Captain America. He doesn't have to be this flashy guy to be the protector of the world. He's this really down to earth person like Steve that tries to see it through to the end. And like he mentioned, even if I die, this shield that I carry is a representation of everything that I'm trying to defend. Everything that I'm wanting to protect, everything that I'm wanting to show is right. This shield helps enforce that idea. And I would say that he's carrying that well. I would say my biggest gripe, though, is that he relied so much off of other people's intuitions rather than himself. He didn't really believe in himself. And it took other people to inspire him, which I know in real life situations, I know that happens. I just felt that there was this big push that happened with Isaiah Bradley that I really loved, but I didn't love that it didn't feel natural. It felt like Sam needed to be Cap because what was being done wasn't right. I didn't think that he picked up the shield because that's what he wanted to do in the beginning, I should say, on his own free will. I believe when he saw somebody misuse the shield, he was like, oh shit, I got to get it back because it was given to me. Now I got to uphold this legacy that Steve did. And I think he only saw it to that degree. And then when he realized that John Walker was killing somebody with this shield that represented many, many, many of things, as well as Isaiah Bradley's story, I think it helped infuse that, I've got to pick up this legacy. Steve left it here. I've got to pick it up and I've got to move it forward because that's what the world needs. We don't need to continue to live it in the past where the blip didn't happen and these things didn't happen. We can't live like that didn't happen. We have to move forward. We have to dust the dust off, pick our ass up. We got to move on, and we got to be better than we were before. And I think that this episode definitely showed to be better. You have to completely start again. You have to look at things with a fresh new set of eyes, and you have to be cautious, but you have to be optimistic, and you have to be really serious with what you're wanting to do. You can't half-ass it. You can't rely on other people to try to fix what you do or fix your fuck-ups, I should say. you have to learn to pick up the weight, carry the responsibility, and learn to move on to a new day. Which brings me into Bucky picking up and moving on to a new day. I will say I loved the fact that it came full circle. He revisited Yuri and he paid his respects and he told him what happened. I will say my biggest complaint, though, is that it felt like it wasn't long enough. I felt like there was some key dialogue we were missing. I was really surprised that I didn't get a "I forgive you," no questions were being asked on, what is the Winter Soldier. Maybe he knew. However, I'm not aware everybody knew. I'm pretty sure not everybody knew. Otherwise, it would have been a much larger deal than what was said in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. However, it just seemed kind of like here, I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, that's it. And I don't feel disrespected by that. I'm glad that he told him, and I'm glad that he made his amends, and I'm glad, that it came full circle. I just feel that it wasn't right. I felt like it was just here, it's in here. We've got 3 minutes that we can maybe shoot it into the episode, and there we go. And I feel like that's why I got put in there, was just to kind of like, you know what, here we go. We want to give everybody their full circle. We want to bring their arcs together because it's going to be a while before you see these characters again. So here we go. We're going to finish this off. And that goes into another topic about this episode not being long enough. This episode, and I'll get back into more characters here in just a second, but this episode being only 51 minutes was the immediate heartbreak for me as soon as I turned on Disney Plus and I saw this. As soon as I saw 51 minutes, I was like, okay, they're really going to rush this. They're really going to throw a lot in here. It's going to be another WandaVision finale. Maybe a lot of things are going to be rushed. Some things not going to be cleared up. I will say as a whole, the story is wrapped up. I just feel like there's a lot of things that didn't happen that is this bigger picture that Phase 4 is trying to build up to. And I felt like this was just very lackluster compared to WandaVision's finale. I love the U.S. agent thing. I mean, I think it was cool, but there were so many teases against the Thunderbolts, which brings me into Madam Hydra, or Val. Her being in there, I understand that she's currently going to be in Black Widow, and that was where she was supposed to be firsthand, and then it was supposed to be Falcon and Winter Soldier. That way we get a little bit more context of this character. I understand that, and I understand because of current real-world situations, things got pushed back. However, it felt like she was just there. Like when we saw the raft, we should have really have seen Thunderbolt Ross, because that's who's going to lead the Thunderbolts. And if you've got somebody out here that's a recruiter for the Thunderbolts, that means that there's still somebody that's higher up, and like we have the She-Hulk TV show that's coming out later this year. That's going to have Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in it. So maybe more than likely you're going to have Thunderbolt Ross, and I felt like this could have been the next setup going into that, because we do not know when She-Hulk takes place in the current MCU timeline until we get closer to it. This being set 6 to 8 months after the events of Avengers Endgame, I would think that Thunderbolt Ross would still be very apparent in the MCU. Instead we got Val, and I just felt like she just was a pure waste of screen time. I really do. I think her being there was just a subtle tease that didn't pay off for me. It really didn't. She was there twice. I saw her twice. Both times I was confused on how she even found out, anything about John Walker, about how he took the serum, how she knew about it, how she knew that he didn't have the shield. Things like that. I was just like, okay, how do you know this information? Why do we not know this information? Who have you talked to? So hopefully in Black Widow that pays off. But I felt in this episode she was just obsolete, and I felt like she was just a wasted time. The other people that were a part of the Flag Smashing group, I'm not even going to really talk about them much. I'm just, going to be honest. I think that they were there just to kind of fill that void of characters that are cliche going to get killed off. They are the side characters of what is already in this show. Seems like a third side character, and they just weren't important, but they got a lot of screen time, very little dialogue. What can we do? We kill them off. Cool. And to anybody that is wondering, it is Zemo's butler that killed the people that was going to be headed to the raft, that were in the back of the GRC vehicle, or the SWAT vehicle, you should say. That was Zemo's butler. He blew them up. That was kind of cool. Figured that out not too long after the episode ended. Wow, characters. Yeah, that to me would be it. I'll say, a little bit more on Bucky. I'll say that this episode, he really shined in terms of, like, he tried to do the Avengers job that wasn't really this big Avengers level threat. He acted like an Avenger to me. And I'm glad that we got that. I'm glad that we got that respect from him of, he's still willing to do the job at the end of the day, even through all the shit that he has been through. He's still here. He's still trying to do the job, and he's made a promise to make things right. So, and to try to do what's right. And I think his conversation with Carly really gave him the motivation to keep pursuing this Avengers career. I will say, I don't think that he's going to stay around too much longer. I think if anything, I think Sebastian Stan maybe will be a part of 6 more properties, or 6 more things in the MCU. And that's possibly another season of Falcon and Winter Soldier whenever the world decides to want to plan that, since it seems like there could be a potential season 2. Besides that, I could see him maybe possibly showing up in Moon Knight, kind of as like a, I don't know, like a moving on situation. I don't know, just maybe come in contact with it. I don't, it's really up in the air on where these characters are gonna show back up. To me, it doesn't seem like a lot of them are going to show back up for a while. I mean, Falcon, in all honesty, I could see him showing back up in the Hawkeye TV show, as kind of like a going and seeing Hawkeye when he goes into retirement, whenever the point comes that he's going to retire, because I feel like that's the point of Haley Steinfeld's character, is for him to retire. He's going to pass it on to her. The Young Avengers is going to happen with Isaiah Bradley's nephew, stuff like that. But I think that's going to be such a long time down the road that we're not going to see them for a while, and they're going to kind of slip our mind for a second. But I could see Falcon showing up. Bucky, I have a really hard time believing that he'll show back up in anything unless it's Black Panther 2. Maybe to go pay Zemo a respect, or go see Zemo in like a post-credit scene or something like that. Definitely not anything of Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2 or Thor Love and Thunder or Guardians of the Galaxy 3. None of that, Sharon Carter, I have no idea when in the world we could even see her. Maybe, possibly, the She-Hulk TV show, as she's now a U.S. agent again, which is a part of the CIA, FBI, and, Jennifer Walters is, a lawyer. She's more a part of the law, official government side of things, so maybe they can come in contact with it. I mean, I have no earthly idea when even half of these people are going to show back up. In terms of action for this episode, I will say that the action was amazing in my opinion. Hopefully, a lot of people don't disagree with me on that one. But I will say this, and I will hopefully pay it off in the future when we see more of Falcon. I felt that the helicopter scene was a bit overdrawn out. I thought that it was a kind of filled the time void in a sense. I thought it could have been over and done a lot quicker than it was. Seeing especially how it even ended in the first place. I think it was cool how it ended, how Sam, or Captain America, I should say, threw the shield, but he kind of like rolled as if you're like jumping on a trampoline and you're like rolling yourself, kind of like a barrel roll or something. Kind of cool to see that, that momentum and the force he had to break the helicopter door just to fly through and kick the guy out. Kind of reminded me of what happened in the first episode with Batroc and all of them in the helicopter scene there. But I mean, like Red Wing, I mean, he it was able to find out that the person was had flight experience, had pilot experience, whatever you want to call it, and I felt like that could have happened a lot sooner. Trying to fight these people, and really, if I'm going to be honest, Sam took a rotor blade to the chest, to the chest. Almost got knocked in the water. Had multiple like steel beams almost crush him up underwater, and still managed to fly out, still managed to keep going, but kept backing off whenever he was getting shot at. And I'm like, wow, okay. Just yank the guy out. Do something. You basically got a suit that's like, cannot hurt you. And I understand that the suit itself is not purely vibranium, it's just the wings. But I mean, they're able to form around him at his will. And they're able to do kind of like anything that he wants and move around and stuff like that. So I didn't see where the big threat was of this one guy driving a helicopter with like like a automatic submachine gun, right? Just didn't see the biggest threat of that. However, the speech that was given at the end, phenomenal. I think it was very well earned. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I think it really gave purpose and really gave the true backbone and the true grit of Sam being the next Captain America. I think it really showed everybody he's not this guy that's just taking up the shield just to be another John Walker or another guy that just carries the shield just for the hell of it. He's picking up the shield to try to do what's right, to try to do what's good, and to try to do what's best for the world, not just for himself. He sees it as a world I have to go home to, and I have to tuck in my bed, and I have to make my bed. And I've got to live my life just as well as you guys, but I also have this higher standard of a job that I have to uphold, and I want the world to be a safer place. And me not being able to do my job doesn't allow the people that get to go home and go to sleep at night a safer place to go to sleep at night. And I think that really showed, just like Steve Rogers does, I can do this all day. I know that's very cliche and very pun intended, but it's very, that's the shield. It's the legacy that you carry behind that. You're not giving up the fight. Take Steve Rogers from Avengers Endgame. He strapped on the shield and he saw Thanos' army and he did not give a shit. He saw he had a half broken shield that should not have broken. He saw that he was hurt. He was probably not going to make it. More than likely, 99% sure wasn't going to make it, but he strapped it up, dusted it himself off, and he was ready to face that damn army with no intention of trying to run away. He had no thought, no second guessing. He was ready to stand his ground, and he knew what needed to be done, whether or not it was going to cost him his life. He knew what was needed to be done and what needed to be executed. And then you have this big moment, obviously everybody knows. And I felt like this was what Sam's version was. He tightened on the shield and he made this commitment. Like, oh, I wasn't able to take it on before, but I'm able to do it now. And what you're seeing is a better version of what this shield can do. Not to say that Steve Rogers didn't do it better or didn't do it right, but we're going to try to do better because that's what we need to be. We need to be better. We need to be better in the ways that we respect things and go about things from now on, and just outlook and optimistic views about certain things. Don't try to value yourself as only doing things for yourself. You got to do it for the people. If that's what you care about, then you got to do it for the people. And Captain America stands for the people. So I felt like this was just that earning moment of, I'm gonna strap on the shield. You guys may hate me, you guys may love me, you guys may not even call me Captain America, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I'm wearing this shield to make sure that you have a better home, you have a better world that you live in, and it's a lot better peacefully. you know, people are trying to take things in correctly instead of just being belligerent or stupid about the decisions they make. Um, More action. I mean, I feel I feel like a lot of the episodes of this season were very lackluster in action. I felt like there was only like maybe 2 fight scenes every episode, which isn't a bad thing. I understand that this story had a very deep story, but I just wish that there was more Winter Soldier action. Um, I mean, that's what really sold me for Falcon and Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. And I understand he didn't really get to do much in Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, but I felt like this could have been really the big time for him to shine, seeing as he hasn't really had a lot since Captain America Civil War to shine. Same goes for Falcon. I I got more from Falcon, which I'm very happy about, but I didn't get a lot of Bucky uh, in terms of action. Now I got a very deep story and a very well taken care of Bucky compared to what he was before this. I would say he's better mentally, he's better physically, and even that scene where I'm not sure what her name was. I'm actually having it slip from my brain. But when he was in Wakanda and she was, trying to tell him like, okay, it's okay. You're not gonna hurt anybody here. And she was calling out those words, those key words that was gonna bring him back or what thought was gonna snap him back. And just the emotion that you got from Sebastian Stan acting really showed to me that he should have been more going in this show. He felt like in some episodes he was the leader. Some episodes he felt like he was the second side character. And then in some episodes I felt like he was only there just for the appeal of his name being in the show. Um, this episode was not that episode that I felt that he was, very lackluster in. I think he had a very good story in this episode. But I don't think we really have a closure for Bucky besides the fact that he's broken free from the Hydra mind control and he's broken free from the Winter Soldier program and he's mentally better off. I just think that he's still Winter Soldier somewhere, and I feel like they've nerfed him. He's got this metal arm, this newer metal arm, vibranium arm, if we're gonna go even further into it. And I really didn't see a lot of anything being done with it. I felt like he did more damage with the old arm than he did with this one. Especially that fight against John Walker. I felt like he just didn't. He wasn't hit nowhere near as hard as he was in Civil War and Winter Soldier. But that's just my opinion. Uh, what do you guys think? I mean, I know I got the one viewer in here, and I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. What is your opinion? I mean, what's your thoughts and opinions? Um, I mean, I think it's just one of those things. From here, not really knowing what's going forward. That's the part that gets me. I felt that end credit scene uh, was not really needed. I felt like it could have been implemented before the end credit scene, and really the end credit scene could have been like a tease for the Thunderbolts. Could have been, a tease for what's next. I mean, in all honesty, we didn't even see Torres with the new wings, and if anybody knows anything from the comics, Torres winds up actually becoming the new Falcon because he takes up the wings or takes up the mantle as that. And I felt like this show, when Torres asked, hey, do you want these or whatever, and he said no, keep them, and he like glossed his hand over it. I felt like, okay, that was his moment of like, all right, here we go. It's Torres. He's gonna be the new Falcon. It's awesome. No, I mean, we got a subtle tease for it, and obviously things can't be paid off all in one day. But I mean, there could have been that. I mean, I wish to have seen more of like the Isaiah Bradley monument or the memorial. I think that there was I think it was a big thing. I'm very happy about it. I loved that it was a big payoff. It came full circle. Came very full circle in the terms of respect for the people that are not named or have not been called out for the things that they've done, not only for the military. I know that in this show, it's a fictional character. Isaiah Bradley, is a fictional character. Um, However, there are true men and women out here in the real world that we live in that go lay down their lives for the law enforcement, fire department, military, yada, yada, yada. And there's so much non recognition for those people, even in the terms of the things that they do. I think it's just something about appreciation doesn't really go far enough. I know that a lot of people respect the military and a lot of people appreciate it, but you have there's like two forms of appreciation, in my opinion. It's like oh yeah, I appreciate you being here. And then you have the next step. It's like the deep rooted thoughts and the feelings and the actions that go behind what they do, what these men and women do on a day to day basis to try to protect this country, protect this world, whether or not they do it for the right or wrong reasons. I'm not getting into that. But in those cases, they still have a job and a service to do at the end of the day. And if they do that, they are held at a higher standard of the protectors of the world. That's their status. That is their label. They are the protectors and the servers of the world. And so much non-recognition is for our fallen veterans, for our active veterans that are still, not active, but living veterans, and for all the people that have done anything, of service or anything of that nature to try to do what's right for the country and for what you stand up for, whatever country that you may be from or whatever the case may be. You know that they're doing a job to go out there and they're fighting to protect you and your country. And I felt like Isaiah Bradley's character, I truly believed in him when he said, my history was being erased. That to me was heartbreaking because it showed in the real world, not only in the context of black people, in that sudden context of things going on, but also in the terms of military. You have these people that are not recognized, these people that go to the VA that are not well off anymore because of the things that they've done. However, they're not truly recognized for the things that they have to do at the end of the day, the job that they have to do that people may not know about, people don't talk about, people will never know about, whatever the case may be. These people at the end of the day, that's their job. And I've got fellow military family members that even they don't get recognition. So to me, it really gave me more of an emotional and personal connection to Isaiah Bradley's, monument being there as a service of recognition. Because I felt that he definitely deserved that just as much as Cap, just as Steve Rogers Cap, just as much as anybody that has done anything. You got Tony Stark out here, you've got all these people that have died and got these memorials, but you got to think about the other people. I mean, take Zemo's family, for instance. They're passed away. There's a memorial for them in Sokovia, but I don't think that I don't think any of the Avengers have been to it because, Zemo even brought that up. But things like that, the payoffs of these people that have given their life or their life was taken because of these sudden events, that recognition goes a long way. And the statue, the unveiling of the statue, I wish one thing from that scene is that I wish it would have been Old Man Steve alongside Cap or Falcon, or Sam, I should say, unveiling the monument, because it would have been I know it probably would have been fan service, but it would have been a very big moment for me to see Old Man Steve not only present the monument and present the memorial to Isaiah Bradley, but also to give him recognition that Old Man Steve knew who Isaiah Bradley was. Because, they fought in the same war. They were both technically Captain Americas at one point in time in history. Both had the super soldier serum. There's no way, in my opinion, that I would think that Steve Rogers would not know about this person if he knew the information regarding Tony Stark's death about, the Winter Soldier program, and he even knew about the video and all this, that, and the other. I'm pretty sure he would know about that, especially a soldier, seeing as Steve was not a person to really give up on things or to really let things go. He paid a lot of attention. He cared about people, and he always did what was right, or at least what he thought was right for the better half, whether or not it killed him in the long run. And I just wish that would have been something that would have been a great payoff for Isaiah Bradley's character, was just to see Old Man Steve just pay him respects. I think that would have been amazing. I will say Isaiah Bradley's nephew, I definitely think that there's room for him to grow in the MCU as the Dark Avengers, or maybe the Young Avengers, whichever route he decides to go, because he seems very angry. He seems very cool, kind of laid back, but he also seems like he's got this I've got this tough act because of my grandfather and the things that he's been through, and I'm having to caretake for him and keep our lives private. I think that made him a tough person. And I mean, even look at John Walker, even a good person that stands behind what they think is doing right, eventually has a snapping point. And I think, it could go one of two ways. I would love to see him a part of the Young Avengers, especially with Billy and Tommy, whenever they decide to come back into the MCU, because they will definitely be back. There's no way that the people love them that much in WandaVision and they won't be back. So I hope to see that progression through the MCU. That would be amazing. As terms of what is next, in my opinion, next we have the Black Widow movie that is July 9th. We also have Loki that is July 11th. We have Venom 2 that comes out this year, September, if I'm not mistaken. You have Shang-Li. Yeah. And The Legend of Ten Rings. Shang-Chi. Shang-Li. Wow. Apologize about that. Shang-Chi and The Legend of Ten Rings comes out this year. The What If TV show comes out this year. And Spider-Man 3, the Eternals movie. And there's just a lot. Oh, and the She-Hulk TV show. At some point, Moon Knight will be coming out. I don't know if that's coming out this year. But you have all these key things that are coming out. And unless Hawkeye, the TV show, or She-Hulk does anything, I highly doubt, and this is with almost 100% guarantee, that Spider-Man 3 will bring back either Bucky or Captain America. I think one, with being too many characters, and I will make a separate video about what I think about is going to happen in Spider-Man 3, the things that we know so far, yada yada yada. But I think that movie's so packed that they can't add anybody in from this TV show, not unless it's like a post-credit scene, which is like a multiverse thing. But even then, I think that movie's heavily multiverse based, so I wouldn't expect too much. She-Hulk and Hawkeye, I mean, these two shows that we already have so far, WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, they have had post-credit scene, mid-credit scenes, whatever the case you may want to say, that have teased things that are upcoming. However, they've teased things that are upcoming for the latter half of the TV show. Yes, Val being in this show pays off to the fact that she will more than likely be in other projects besides just Black Widow that she is confirmed into. But it also shows that U.S. Agent is going to be in there too. But do I believe that she's going to be anywhere anytime soon? Maybe in Hawkeye, due to the fact that Echo is going to be in that show, and a couple other characters that may wind up being in there. Maybe in Spider-Man 3 as a post-credit scene, probably recruiting somebody from the multiverse, probably like Electro, as like a Sinister Six thing. I don't know. I mean, there's no way she's in Thor 4. I mean, that's in space and Asgard and here on Earth, and probably more so in the space aspect. Morbius 2. I mean, Morbius. No, I don't expect that. I mean, I'm still confused on even what Spider-Man's even in that universe. Seeing as Michael Keaton's in both of those, or should I say Vulture, is in both of those. Spider-Man Homecoming and Morbius. Sharon Carter, I could see possibly showing up, like I said before, in the She-Hulk TV show, possibly meeting up with Jennifer Walters, whatever the case may be. Do I think anything's going to show up in Loki? No. No. Not. I think Loki is going to be bound by itself. I think, if anything, and this is even a very far stretch, I think we may see a younger version of Thor. Because, I mean, this does go through different times of, the realities. And we just saw in this latest trailer, if you have not seen it, definitely go check that out. But it basically shows what the Ancient One basically tried to tell or warn Bruce about in Avengers Endgame. That if you take the stones and you mess with reality, you have these different timelines that are going to happen. And basically, one of the TV screens showed that branch reality. Do I think that it's concurrent with like what's really going to happen? I think, due to the fact that Loki is going to do it, yes. Do I think that it's because of Avengers Endgame that the realities are branched apart? No. Even though there's very big plot holes in Avengers Endgame as to how certain things got put back in certain places and how certain things were done, I do not believe that Loki will pay the respects of really showing and paying off of like, oh, hey, the Avengers did this. I mean, Loki took the cosmic cube, so he branched that reality. It's not them, which is where one of the biggest plot holes even comes into play about Avengers Endgame. But we're not going to get into that. I'll make a video about that in the future, trying to explain that. But I will say that I do not expect any major character to be in the show. I expect Lady Sif to possibly be in this show at some point. If there's like a Thor, like on an Asgard thing, I would love to see more of like Thor: The Dark World. Him being kept in the dungeon or in the containment cells. I would love to see more of that lore and that story about him just breaking down as a person, because we saw that he faked his image. So when people would come visit him, they would think that he is, still well put together. He's just, nothing's bothering him. But Thor wasn't playing that shit, and called him out on it and really showed who he really was and what he really looked like. And I would love to see more of that, as this like breaking down of like my failures. But the people that are saying like, oh, Black Widow's in Loki because of that trailer. No, I think that's Lady Loki. One of the set photos, it even actually, I think, confirms it's her. So I really do not expect any major characters to show up. Loki. Black Widow has very, very, very little chance of showing anybody off. One, because of the fact it's set in the past. And two, anything that it does pay off is not going to be paid off except for only in 3 major properties. Avengers Infinity War, because this takes place, not too long after that, because she's wearing the vest that looks like it's from Yelena, that she wears in Infinity War. Other than that, you have Falcon and Winter Soldier. That could be paid off, because of the Thunderbolts aspect. Because Zemo being in the raft, obviously they've got to do the Thunderbolts. Still upset that they don't have Thunderbolt Ross, but whatever. And Avengers Endgame. Yes, that was 5 years past, but still in the beginning of that movie, she was still wearing Yelena Belova's vest in the Infinity War outfit. So, there's that payoff of like the continuation, but in terms of like, do I think anything's really going to get paid off besides Val from this show being paid off in that? No, I think more of the Thunderbolts references are going to happen in that. I think Taskmaster is going to go to the raft, and I think he may already be there at this point, which is why we didn't see a lot of the raft in this show. Is because I think in the ending of Black Widow, what I think is going to happen is either A, he's going to get captured, or B, he's going to get recruited by the Thunderbolts to go be a part of the Thunderbolt program. So that's one of 2 things that I think could pay off. But other than that, I don't think there's going to be any more super soldier serum. Basically, Sharon Carter confirmed. Almost, there's none left. And Basically, she's moving on from the super soldier serum in the first place. She's got the government's assets now. I I I have a really hard time believing though that she is fully corrupt. I mean, after the thing she did in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, how she basically turned on Batroc, not Batroc, uh, uh, Crossbones. I can't remember his name. Um, that I mean, that just like it's really blowing my mind that Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We saw Sharon Carter didn't really do much. She helped protect Steve, helped Steve in a current situation. We see her in Civil War fighting for the CIA's aspect of it, fighting on the government side of it, but really she was siding with Steve because she gave him the shield and Falcon his wings back. But then you see this, and I'm like, wait a minute, something's not adding up. There's got to be some missing time frames on something's going on. I think what happened is she got blipped or dusted away or snapped away, whatever you want to say. And during the blip, she was gone. But then when she came back, she had to figure some things out. And because she was still on the run because of the events of Civil War, she fled to Madripoor. And that's where things start to get a little bit shaky because it's like, okay, how did you get to Madripoor? How did you become the power broker? How did you become this big time thing? And we don't know that. We do not know that history. We do not know how she even came to getting a hold of Carly in the first place, or even how in the world she found out about the super soldier serum. I mean, obviously, Madripoor is home of the mutants in the comics, at least. So, if the multiverse is going to happen, if we're really going to go with the multiverse, which at this point it's got to be, because Doc Ock is back in Spider-Man 3. If we're doing the multiverse, and we have this, like, ordeal of things can take place in multiple events and can show up. We saw with the hex from WandaVision that Monica went in and she became Photon from that because of the internal components that were being broken down with her. Basically, the mutant gene was already inside of her. The hex kind of infused it and made it go active, made it go online, kind of connect the dots. You see where I'm going here. And I think, in a sense, okay, if the multiverse is already established at this point, or starting to be established, you would think that there would be some type of knowledge of mutants in Madripoor. And I do not think that Madripoor was, brought up just for the hell of it. I think it was brought up maybe just for the hell of it for this show, but I think it's going to pay off in the future because, I mean, it's a very comic reference, very big comic reference to Wolverine. So, I mean, we do not have the mutants and the X-Men in the current MCU timeline as of right now. However, we do have the establishing of mutants and people of extraordinary powers from ordinary events happening. I think it's possible that these people could be here. And Sharon Carter being power broker and having all of this knowledge, I think either A, she already knows that the mutants are here, or B, the mutants are going to eventually come, and because she's a parent or knows about the government secrets and everything, she's going to get access to the mutants, and she's going to learn about them whenever they show up and stuff like that. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, I again, like I said at the beginning of this stream, I think that this episode was a good episode overall, and I know I'm giving it a lot of hate, but I'm just trying to be very optimistic in a lot of things that they did wrong in terms of timing. You could have done a lot better. Uh, and I think some things were very well paid off. I think some characters got some very good time to shine, and I felt like a lot of characters were just thrown in. Very lackluster in terms of what can we do, what can we use this character for. I mean, in all honesty, I felt like I got more out of Isaiah Bradley's character than I did of Carly. Up until the ending, I just felt very underwhelmed with her. Uh, I don't know. I would hope to see moving forward from here more inclusiveness of the new Captain America. I would love to see um, Captain America Sam, Captain America, be more involved in recruiting people for the Avengers at some point. I would love to see him in post-credit scenes of visiting people that are established in the MCU, such as Shang-Chi. I would love to see him visit him and like them just have an interaction with. They seem like they're very uncomfortable and they're very, you know, scared about what they want to do, but they're going to move forward and they're going to keep pushing and they're going to try to do what's best. And I think it would be amazing to see an interaction with them. Um, do I would love to see kind of like a post credit scene or end credit scene, kind of how Spider-Man Homecoming did with the Captain America. So he failed or whatever. You know that end credit scene. You know the one people hate. Uh, I would love to see something like that. That cheesy interaction. I think that would be really cool to see. Like, oh, you know, along with being this hero of Captain America, I also have to get behind the cameras, the lights, and the flashes, and I have to take pictures, and I have to look like the pretty boy and stuff like that because that's what Steve Rogers still did. He wasn't very camera tech savvy or anything, but he was a part of pictures. He wasn't shy of things. Like he wasn't afraid to put his face in the camera. Did he do it every single chance? No, because he stood for what he believed in, and that was doing the job, not the media attention. However, when it called for it, he was there. Um, so I think I'm going to end it here, and I think I'm going to end it with a positivity ending of saying that I think this show did very well with the beginning to end in terms of storytelling, getting the point across. What are we doing? Here's how we're going to bring out the new Captain America. What are we going to do moving forward in terms of character development? And I think it was very well done. I just think some things had some negatives, and I expect a lot of things in the upcoming future to be a lot better in content. Not saying that these shows are bad, but I would say that the first three phases were grounded and earth based, and yes, they had their mystical and mythological things that happened, but they were more on earth, more down to earth, and they were more centered around that. And I think moving forward, we're going to be dealing with the multiverse. We're going to be dealing with, um, astral things, outer space. I think we're going to be dealing with all those bigger key elements. Whenever Kang the Conqueror comes in, which is going to be in Ant-Man 3, we're going to have quantum problems, which is going to be Galactus, Fantastic Four, Doom, Superior Doom, Godlike Doom, stuff like that. I mean, I saw the bar for Marvel here when it originally was down here, and that, I know that didn't look like a big jump, but to me, that's a very big ladder compared to what they started out with, which was one man that did something. And I'll say that I expect more, especially with the What If TV show. I think that's really going to blow a lot of people away. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they continue to do from here. I thank you guys for being here, and I thank you so much for tuning in today and hearing me out and hearing my thoughts and opinions about what I thought about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Just the finale. I will be making, again, like I said at the beginning, I will be making a separate video in my overall review, expect that to be very, very good. I mean, like I say, I know that I'm giving this finale a lot of hate, and that's just because it's not a lot of things that did well for me. But that's just me personally. I know a lot of people love it. But the show itself, I find to be better than WandaVision because it was more focused around other things rather than dramatic things. You know, tried to explain the story. So yeah, I be on the lookout for that video. It'll be in the upcoming days. I'll definitely notify you guys, so stay tuned for that. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and listening to me. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave them down below. Let me know. What did you like about this? Let me know if you had anything that contradicted anything that I had to say. Let me know what your thoughts and opinion was on my comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear from you guys. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the other side. Thank you.